Ever since my negative review of Rust, I feel like the Humble Bundle has been trying to shake me off my game. First, they tried to drain my creativity bank by loading me down with similar survival sandbox titles, then they tried to whittle down my ability to speak about a game by giving me only a quarter of it, and now they've tried to silence me completely by taking advantage of my one weakness, having no friends. By giving me a strictly local multiplayer title, they finally shut me down. I just can't review this title, guys. I've failed you. Or at least that's what I would say had they not underestimated exactly how big of a loser I actually am. While it's true that I have no friends, they've completely overlooked the fact that I literally live in my mother's basement, which means that I can force people to spend time with me by way of familial obligation. Back to the drawing board, assholes. In today's humble opinion, we're drawing a blank in the Jackbox Party Pack 2. The Jackbox Party Pack 2 is actually a collection of 5 local multiplayer games developed and published by Jackbox Games Incorporated. One of the more interesting aspects of it is that it gives you a code that you can input onto your phone, tablet, or similar internet-capable device to use as your controller with the main screen as your prompt. Another interesting feature is the ability to include the audience of your live stream in the voting aspects of your game. One of the glaring disappointments is that it's exclusively local multiplayer unless you and your friends manage to work out a live streaming solution with minimal delay. On the one hand, buying 4 copies of the game to play together would feel kind of pricey when compared to the notion of buying it once and playing with your friends at home, but on the other, fuck you, my friends are all online. Was there not some way this could be worked out? You're telling me you can work in an audience over the internet, but you can't somehow distribute the rest of the information to my friends for free? All of these devices we're using have screens, images, and text should suffice. Come on, man, it's 2016, there's no excuse. At least not to my knowledge as a frustrated consumer that is 100% ignorant on the capabilities and development of the team and game, but as far as I'm concerned, that's all the expertise I need to bitch a fit. Like I said, it's 2016, get over it. Anyway, I should probably get into each of the games specifically, or else I'll have to break them down into separate videos while I writhe in creative agony as I try to drag out enough to say about them to fill 5 minutes a pop. I don't want that. And look how little action is going on screen. You don't want that either. It would be purgatory for the both of us. The first game is called Fibbage 2, and it just so happens to be one of my favorites of the 5. Basically, someone picks a topic and the game will give you a fact about that topic, but part of the fact will be left blank. Your objective is to fill it with a lie that sounds believable enough to your unwitting opponents that they pick it over the truth. So it's excellent for you and a bunch of deceptive friends. Points are awarded for the number of people that fall for your dastardly deception, as well as actually managing to pick the truth yourself. Knowing your opponents can lend you some expert strategies, while misspelling words almost guarantees that your lie won't get wow. Really, guys? They're not trapped in here with me. I'm trapped in here with them. The price of familial obligation. Next up was Earwax, which was an interesting concept if you're into abstract humor, but ultimately never had a chance of proper execution. The idea is that the judge picks a topic and the other players pick 2 sounds from the list that, in order, sound like they imagine the topic would. Because you can't hear the sounds beforehand, though, it might not sound like you thought, and not only that, but being limited to a list restricts your creativity and kind of gunks up the game. Not much more to say. Bidiots was an alright game that implements the most strategic style of play. You're tasked with creating art, and those are the only pieces that you'll know the titles of. You then take part in an auction where some of the patrons will tell you how much different titles are worth, but you won't know what they look like. Using your limited information, you try to earn the biggest profit at the auction while trying to bait other players into losing their earnings. While it wasn't my favorite, it was a pretty novel concept that I wouldn't dislike playing again. Next up, we have Quiplash XL, which was my personal favorite and is perfect for those who fancy themselves witty. The game gives you a subject and you have to think of the most clever retort before the timer is up. Then the judge of that particular question will vote for what they thought was the funniest. It's guaranteed to be a barrel of laughs with the right group of friends, and very much carries the rest of the games to success. Finally, there's Bomb Corp, which is the only game that's playable on your own. It's also the only game that's about teamwork and communication rather than being the best. The game will give hints as to which wires you should and shouldn't cut to everyone playing, and you have to communicate and work together to figure it out. They also have an interesting variety of challenges, like instructions written by children, specific instructions for particular players, and filing in reverse alphabetical order. It's a fascinating, time-sensitive logic puzzler with an amazingly deadpan sense of humor lampooning office workplace places. The Jackbox Party Pack 2 can normally be obtained on Steam for $24.99, and though I enjoyed the game, I feel like that's a little too steep for a title that you can only really play under certain circumstances, supposing that all of your friends have better things to do than waste their time with a waste of space like me. $15 seems a lot more reasonable, though the ultimate suggestion is to wait for it to go on sale for $8.74 or lower. Gameplay for this title varies from game to game, but I'm not breaking each of them down for you. Fuck that and fuck you. On average though, I'd say that the whole collection comes in at an 8 out of 10 if you have the right people to play with. It's kind of tedious playing with people with whom you're out of sync, especially when they're both in sync and you're the outlier. A few of them are weaker than others, but the strong ones more than make up for it and provide an excellent blend of humor, intelligence, and strategy. Value unfortunately has to take a hit with a 4 out of 10. It sadly just isn't strong enough to stem the tide of the struggling bundle. It may have been a better addition if the other games provided more support, but as it is a strictly local multiplayer game that can only be played with social coordination and organization just makes the bundle even more starved for strong, consistent content. Value is directly proportional to the ease of which you can get several people together, which means that for people like me who rely more on single-player experiences or online multiplayer titles for entertainment are gonna feel pretty shafted. Overall, the game earns a 6 out of 10, which is a C+. A solid experience under the right circumstances, but woefully included into a bundle that just can't support it, and it makes it almost entirely impossible to enjoy receiving.